Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk and a review of the Polish CS-59 Tier 9 medium tank of the new half line. Slightly more than half line. Starts at Tier 5, goes up to Tier 10. This is the Tier 9. I have the Tier 10. I finally finished the grind. This is the last review. I may do a Tier 10 review. We'll see what happens. I usually don't do a review on those, but we'll see what happens. I liked this tank. Overall, this is probably one of the best in the line. I would say the Tier 7 and the Tier 9 are tied for me. I don't have enough experience in the Tier 10 to say anything about it right now, but I quite enjoyed this. Fully upgraded, this is a good tank. Not upgraded, it is not very good. At Tier 9, running stock tanks is very difficult. So we'll do the standard stuff. We're going to take a look at an overview, tech tree considerations for this tank, the 3D model and what it brings to the table, a comparison amongst its peers in the tech tree, my stats, my setup, and then some game examples of the CS-59 Polish medium tank. So we'll take a quick look at the details. All these write-ups are more or less the same write-up here. These were Polish designs after World War II that were overcome by the T-55 series, the Russian tanks. Basically, the Soviets sold the entire Soviet bloc their stuff. So it was all commonality, common equipment, and any kind of separate developments were very minimal in the old Soviet bloc, Soviet Union. So this tank never saw the light of day. I think it says no prototype was produced. All right, so kind of a fantasy tank in that no prototype was produced, but there were some plans. I assume they dug up somewhere. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was on a napkin. That, I don't know. But here it is. It's a medium tank. You can see that it's slightly forward mounted on the turret, whereas the CS-53 was more a center mounted turret. This one shifts up a little bit forward. It's a little bit taller. This is the upgraded turret, so it's quite rounded right there. Some angles on the armor, but not amazing. It's not really known for its armor. Pretty cool side skirts as far as the 3D model goes on the thing. And that's pretty much it. Great big old gun. It does carry 3 guns. So let's take a quick look at the tech tree considerations on the CS-59 Polish Tier 9 tank. All right, I've said it for every one of these, and I think it's worth saying again. Remember, 4 crew member, commander, gunner, driver, loader, that's nice, across the whole line from the DSPZ all the way up to the CS-63. But remember the CS-53, the radio operator goes from the commander down to, I want to say, the loader. It's back to the commander on the CS-59. So if you're moving crews, remember you're going to have to mess around with some gold or lose some experience, which I don't recommend, or just get a new crew, however you want to roll with it right there. The Pudel will train these guys, although the Pudel will hold an extra radio operator in there who will cool his heels when when that crew is in one of these other tanks. Also, if you have the Rudy and you switch it over to Polish, remember that tank can actually be Polish or Soviet or Russian, then you can also use that as a crew trainer for your CS-59. Things to think about on this, other than crew, when we get in here, pretty straightforward on the upgrades. You can see that I haven't even unlocked the 9. That means it's not elited. I'm going to want to do that whether I use free experience or whatever. Remember that on all of these, I basically ground this entire line, except for the Tier 5 and 6, where I unlocked the modules and then just played the tank to grind it to the next tank. For the Tier 7, 8, and 9, I went from stock, played it stock, got you good footage for that. The only mistake I made was at Tier 7. I accidentally bought the engine for the Tier 7. I'm just going to keep admitting that mistake because it makes me laugh every time. I was just clicking away tired one night, and all of a sudden I bought it. It was an accident. But point here is that this gun, this drives me a little bit crazy. It's completely extraneous to the game. There is zero reason to unlock this gun. 51,000 experience to get yourself, let's see, 222 pin from 212. Holy cow. So I get 8 pin, and then my gold pin doesn't change, and I get some extra. Nope, it's the same DPM, and oh my gosh, what is that gun even doing here? It's just a XP sync, either free XP because you want to get it elited, or you're going to have to play the game to get 51,000. I don't know why it's in the game. I got the tracks first, then I went turret and gun, engine, and radio. You can probably get away with no tracks if you want to run the improved configuration, which is new equipment that's out there. So you can do it that way. To be quite honest, I'm not 100% sure if you can put anything on before the tracks. I just didn't bother. I went tracks, turret, and then gun on my upgrade right there. So let's take a look at the 3D model. All right, for the 3D model, you're seeing a lot of green here, right? It's not well armored. I will say that it seemed to work better than the CS-53 did at Tier 8, but purely judging by looking at the colors here, it's really not any better. You do have some kind of auto bounce at a very severe angle on the front right there. If you are coming over a hill, and that's a very steep kind of look down, and your -8's not going to put a gun on, but if somebody's shooting up at you at that angle, you do get some auto bounces. That particular front angle right there just isn't very good. You get to 180, you go straight on, or even a little bit of look down. Now we're at 154. It's just atrocious. There's just a little bit better curvature on the turret than the CS-53, but it still has that kind of flattened cheek right there that just doesn't have enough. If you get some angles, you can get some weird auto bounce angles. There's a weird artifacts right there, but it gets okay around the top. It does have 2 tumors on the top, which are weak spots. So the armor on this thing is not Russian-esque. I will say the mantlet's okay, and the turret did bounce, I thought, a little bit better than the C-53, the CS-53. But when you say better, that's from horrific to bad. That's kind of where we get with this thing. And this thing's strength is not really, it doesn't want to get hit. You know, it runs around with a 390 alpha gun. We'll talk about that. You don't want to brawl in this thing. You want to trade well. Okay, you want to be putting your 390 down range and not allowing yourself to get hit, because you just don't have any real good options on a way to not get crushed. Okay, I will say it is an okay side scraper. It is an okay side scraper, but that's, I say okay for a medium. None of them are really great at Tier 9. You're going to have really big caliber guns that are going to laugh at your side scraping, that kind of thing. But so just leave it at that, an okay side scraper. All right, let's go on to a comparison amongst its peers. There are a lot of good Tier 9 mediums. I mean, there's some legends in here. The Patton, the Leopard, the Heat 54, the E50, the 430, the Centurion 7.1 with Hesh. I mean, come on, these are some of the better tanks in the game. So it has a lot of competition here. Let's see how it stacks up. At first, I thought 390 was going to be fairly unique at Tier 9. I really wasn't thinking about it, but if you look at the alphas, there's a lot of 390s. All right, so it's not, in fact, there's a 420 from the Leopard PTA, which just recently got a small nerf to its handling. You'll notice that, just as a side note, the Leopard PTA is showing 623 for Wargaming's power rating for firepower. That's head and shoulders above everything. It did need a slight nerf, guys, just to throw that out there. But the CS-59 is what we're talking about. 252 is really nice for standard pen. There's a few that are better, but that's actually pretty darn good for standard pen. We'll take a look at its gold pen in just a minute. Rate of fire is okay. You've got an 8.44 second reload, which is in there, slightly lower than most. Gun traverse is nice. I will say that the turret and the gun traverse and the whole traverse on this tank is really nice. It is quite agile in that respect. -9 on the depression. I thought it was -8, so that's actually right in there. -9, -10 is very good. You're looking at 2.4 aiming time, a little bit long. You will find your aim time to be a little bit annoying if you are more used to the more comfortable guns of the things, say the Leopard PTA or the Type 61, even the E50, where they zoom in pretty quickly. And a relatively bad dispersion at 0.36. These tanks tend to be all over the place. You have some very accurate ones like the E50, and then you've got some at 0.36 like the Type 61. And you know, it has to do with how fast it zooms and what the dispersion is, obviously, on how comfortable it is, but it ends up having the #1 DPM, which is pretty nice. 390 alpha, fairly fast reloading, decent handling, not great, and it doesn't really give up any DPM for all that. Doesn't really give any DPM up for all that. In fact, it's #1 out of this group. 1800 hit points is also at the top. Has a little bit of staying power for a medium tank. There's the armor. You can see the turret's only at 130. The only way 130 is going to be strong is if it was much more rounded. And even the T-54, which has better rounded, has 240 millimeters. So you cannot rely on the turret. It's just not going to happen. It's a Type 61 kind of idea right here at Tier 9. As far as its speed, it's okay at 50. There's several that are faster, a couple that are slower, at least, yeah, a couple that are a little bit slower. I don't know why I mentioned this on the Tier 8s. Why does this one tank have to back up slower than the rest of its peers. I guess the Object 430 is 18 also, but I don't get it. I don't know why. It's a balanced decision, obviously. They must have felt other things were good enough that it didn't need it. That was pretty crazy. Also, its concealment is good because it's fairly low slung and relatively small, so its concealment's right up there. Not too bad at all on that. But 50 is the best it's going to do. It really is. Its specific power is low, like the rest of the tanks in the Polish line, relatively low. It's not quite E50 sluggish, although the E50 will get up to 60. It just takes forever for that thing to chug along and make that happen. So at 17.99 or basically 18, it's near the bottom, but not as bad as, say, an E50. Get down here to the camo, that's good. We have a view range of 390, not quite as good. You got the top, especially at tier 9, you got some of the top ones at 410. That's pretty important. And 390, I think, is tied. No, not quite worst. Not quite tied for worst. The 430 actually has the worst at 380. So what can we say about this? It has a hard-hitting gun, although several others do. Nice DPM, so it really can employ damage. It does have a slightly derpy gun for tier 9, so you're going to have to be careful. And the problem with that slightly derpy gun and good DPM is you're going to want to be employing that thing, and you don't have a lot of options hold down or turret poking wise. So you have to be very careful how you bring this thing into the fight and employ that 2,773 DPM, because it's just not going to bounce very much. Let's take a look at my stats. All right, this one was pretty painful and I believe I have some stock gameplay footage for you. It was quite painful. I got to 71 games to unlock the 10, 54% victories and 941 average XP. I will tell you I was around 30% win rate for a while. I really was, and with quite a few games. Once I upgraded it to top configuration, everything started to work. Started to click, got a lot better. Hits are pretty good, 53% win rate, shows 54, but I'm just barely there. I got the one mark on it at 68.6% in the 71 battles, which is fairly decent. Damage ratio and destruction ratio were coming up, 1.48, 2.23. There's the armor at 2.022. Like I said, slightly better than the tier 8, but 0.22 is kind of lucky armor, right? It's not even really situational. 0.5 is situational armor that you can rely on and work with. 0.22 is no armor, but just slightly above no armor, meaning sometimes you're getting that bounce when you're doing the hold down thing or you're doing the turret poking. Because of the rounded turret and the angles on it, you get a little lucky. It is kind of small. That's a nice thing. So as you're rocking back and forth, you may catch people getting to the edge of the rounded turret, and then you get that auto bounce thing going on. But that's about the only place you're going to end up. Sometimes with lower tier tanks, poking corners with a high angle on the front, you can get some bounces there if you can bait them to hit the front part of it and not get into your sprocket or into the side of the tank, and that's always an iffy proposition. So that's what that kind of number on the armor is telling you. 45% battle survived is pretty good. That's going to speak to a 54% win rate with what is really kind of low for tier 9, but that's really where I am most of the time. 2100, that was very low, and it is coming up. I would say the last 20 or 30 battles, I was probably averaging 2,500, I guess, somewhere around there. No problem with that, so it was definitely getting better. 607 assists, pretty decent. Spotted and destroyed, no worries. I did have almost 8,000 damage game. There is a video of that. It was in relation to something else that happened in that game, so that was a pretty good game. I don't know if it was the 6-kill game, but nearly 8,000. There were 2 AFKs. Some other things went on with that, so it was a weird situation. If you want to check that video out, that's been out for a while. It was last week, I think, on Monday, if you want to check that out. But that's basically how I did with it. Not bad. Approaching 1,000. I think if I am going to take this one to 100 battles in my 100 battle challenge, so we'll see if I can actually manage to crank that XP up to around 1,000, much closer or over 1,000 per game. And I would like to see this more like a 2,400 average damage by the time I get there. But we'll see if I can manage that in the 29 games I have left to get to 100. So let's take a look at my setup. Setups are really in flux right now, guys. We have the new equipment. This stuff came out with the equipment 2.0. This is a legacy setup. I'm running with the vents, with the vertical stab, and a rammer. Some arguments to be made for other things. I'm going to wait before I start recommending anything other than the standards, but some of you may have already played with it. There is an argument to put, I think, the rotation device on it as just one example of the possibilities to add to this. I ended up getting rid of the fire extinguisher, and if you know anything about me, you know I hate doing that because getting lit on fire in this game drives me absolutely crazy. So I will run an automatic fire extinguisher on almost everything and just give up food. But the gun was trolling me, especially when I was running the stock guns and I really needed to hit people and get the shots going where I wanted them to go to get pens, even with 2. So I started running food, and I think I only got lit on fire maybe once out of that time. So I ran food, and I was running directives. I was running the vent directive, anything that would help me out with gunnery, with gun handling. This is not the crew I had in it. I had this crew, which was much better. It was a 4-skill crew. I moved it up to my tier 10s. So I was running a very good crew. I was running food. I was running directives. Vents put over in the slot so that you get the bonus. A vertical stay. I was doing everything I could to make this slightly derpy gun hit and pen when it needed to, because the tank cannot afford, it really can't, you cannot afford to not get the damage downrange, all right? Missing or not penning is no bueno for this tank, because you are just not going to bounce stuff very often. So you have to watch out, and that's why I ended up doing that. The gold pen right here, you're looking at 293 with APCR, which is actually pretty nice. The stock guns are heat pen guns, and I want to say they're 290 or so, as I recall, on there. So that's my setup. Let's move on to some examples of gameplay. All right, first game I'm going to show you is stock configuration. You can see I'm running around with the 300 Alpha gun that you get with the CS-59, and it has heat for gold at 390 pen. So your pen for this gun and the 390 Alpha gun is going to be about the same as far as planning where to shoot and what to do. The difference is one's heat and one is APCR, with the corresponding good and bad for those two things. But just realize that's kind of interesting that the pen's about the same. So as far as what you can pen, it's more or less the same thing. However, you're running with a 300 Alpha gun, and while it does reload pretty quickly, 300 Alpha at tier 9 is not that impressive, so it's nice to get that top gun. What I liked about this, and this was one of my earlier games with this tank, is that it was pretty comfortable right off the bat. Even with the 300 Alpha gun, you got enough of an increase in capability on the gun on the tier 9 that it was not too bad to play as a stock tank. You can see that the speed's okay. Right here, we're going to cruise on in here. You don't get any more speed, you just get more power. And like I said earlier when we looked at the comparison, yeah, it's 50 kilometers an hour. It does sometimes have a hard time getting up to it. Any kind of turning is going to scrape off a bunch of speed pretty quickly. So we'll just come up here and we find this guy and immediately give up 322 hit points, because for some reason a Chrysler GF is sitting there hold down, pointing exactly where I'm going to appear. I don't know. I suppose that's a pretty common place for mediums to go to try to get shots on you, so maybe he's just 200 IQ in it right there. There's no artillery in this game. That's nice. I do need to watch about TDs. That's why I don't want to come too far to the right. Now I'm just trying to figure out what am I going to do with this bloody Chrysler GF. I do have the heat at 290. He's got that rounded turret, and it is going to be a bit of a trick, but I'll switch to 2 and see. He's got to have some friends coming up here pretty soon. I am top tier. We have a 2-tier battle, 8s and 9s. And I'm just looking for something to do with this Chrysler. Notice that as a medium going to kind of the heavy brawling area, I got there quickly, so I do need to be careful about not really overextending very, very hard. The good news is they didn't send any of their fast tanks here to sort of jump on me. So now I've sort of got these guys stuffed. They're taking shots from multiple directions. And I'll go ahead and stick one right into the side. Managed to not get into his tracks. That's very nice. And now we're just trying to get some shots. We've got the Chrysler here. We've got the little shot on the side again. Nice high roll on that with 312. Got 327 and a 312, so I'll take that any day. Now we're trying to figure out a way to get a shot on this guy. It's kind of a bad shot. He's rocking back and forth. I'm trying to sneak one into the hatch on this guy. The 100-01 pushes in. I look for a little more altitude. Maybe I can actually hit this Chrysler. Or if I come too high on this, I might get shot from across the bay. I'm clearly going to be spotted here. Here he comes. He's coming. No, he's not. We'll get him tracked. We'll pin him down. Maybe we can force him to use his kit. So whether he repairs or uses a kit, I don't know. Another miss, and I'm just really spamming the number 2 ineffectively here. It's a bit disappointing. Looking for a shot on him now. No. And we'll keep on. Maybe he'll rock forward enough and I can get into the side of his tank. 100-01 pushes in. We can see that there's an LT-432 and a Heat 54 hanging out down the back. You need to be careful about coming up and over the top there because those guys will have shots on them. Maybe I can sneak over here and we'll get one and two. There we go. No. Probably should have aimed for his track on that instead of trying to get into the side skirt with the heat. Maybe we'll just go, there we go. Finally got one into. There's a little dip right there on the armor, and because he was kind of sideways to me, that helped me penetrate. 290 Alpha being enough for that case right there. The Barras comes in behind. T-54 is down there. So, fairly derpy gun, but comfortable. Not too bad, actually. You notice that most of my shots were hitting, even if they weren't exactly hitting where I wanted to. The ones that missed were going to be very difficult to hit anyway, even with a good gun. A couple of them were just bad shots that had little to do with the dispersion and a lot to do with the way I was taking the shots. So we'll swing back over here. We're trying to figure out how we're going to take out the T-54. They've won the other side. Ferdinand's in trouble. There's a couple light and medium tanks around. I really don't want to get into a scrap with a couple of those guys. And we're just going to poke around this middle ridge. See if I can catch somebody out up top right here. CS-53 takes down the T-34. That's a good kill. I kind of figured I'd get spotted. Glad I didn't take the hit, but they know I'm there, so there's no reason to go up there and take another look. I didn't light anybody, so there's no reason to show up in the exact same spot yet again and let the 2 or 3 TDs that might be staring that direction take a poke at you. So we'll come back around here. We've got the Barask, and I'm thinking, all right, Barask, how about you and me? Let's see if we can work on this T-54 a little bit. Swing down here through the bushes. Maybe he'll push up and over. Doesn't look like he wants any of that. Still don't see him. There's a nice airship floating around up there. Did you guys know that was up there? It was a long time before I realized that thing was flying up there. T-30 gets killed. We got some guys in the middle. I got the Barask sitting here. This is me just wondering, all right, I'm really not sure what I can do right here. We've got 3 guys all hanging out on the bush. I would like to keep them from coming around behind us here. What I'd really love to do is for me and the Barask to take down this T-54. I decided to cross over here. The Barask came this way. He's going all the way into the corner. Yeah, I think somebody clicked there. To be honest, I'm not really sure why we did this. I think for some reason I thought there was somebody hiding back there. Maybe it was the Sturb I thought was back there. There he is. We find him. He's up in the top. Now we're starting to lose guys, so we're going to have to do something different here. Sturb takes a hit from the Emil, and I wonder where this T-54 went. Hey, guess what? Found the Sioux. And there's a miss. So they're not really medium tank gun handling sometimes with this tank. That was a little bit hard to take right there. But didn't put any damage on him. We'll back out of that. I can't really take that guy on. A few too many hit points. Plus the T-54 is somewhere. I see the Barask raging around. And I didn't want to go push in trying to take the 130 because if the 54 got the idea that he and the Su-130 could push me, they definitely would have ended up doing that. We're starting to lose now. There's it getting spotted there. Mobility can be a little bit painful when you're stock, especially when you're working on hills and things like this. The Barask takes off. That's not great. And now again confusion sets in. I'm like, all right, well I'm kind of out in the flat here alone, and I don't see anybody. So how about we go find a bush here, and maybe they'll walk into me, and I'll just hide a bit here. See one of them up on the hill. Try to back up. A little blind shot doesn't kill him. And now I'm thinking, oh great, now all 3 of us are in this river bottom. This is quite literally one of the worst places and situations to get yourself in. We're all down in a pit. It's hard to maneuver in the swampy bits down here. So I'm just going to actually pull up and out here and see if we can't find one of these guys. There we go. There's an LT-432. But I know there's a Centurion 7.1. There's just still a lot of their guns out there. There's the S1 making his presence known. The Emil's trying to take him down. There we go. So that was a good kill. So that thing can be bushed up, and his ability to support his buddies is quite good. Again, we're not in a great position map-wise. We have a decent amount of tanks. The Brass is looking over on the south side. They haven't pushed in from the north. I think the T-54 and the Su-130 could have done their team a lot of good. Oh, and I bounce. So I take a shot and bounce, but boom, he goes down to the CS-53. That was very helpful. And the CS-53 dies to the 432. That makes me realize the 432 is somewhere nearby. Type 59 sees me. And this is why fighting in a spot like this is so bad. We can't get out, right? You can't get out. They're all surrounded in the high spots. There's no way to break into the open and get out of this ravine. We've either got to push south or north or kill them as they come in. The 432 takes a shot, hits me with HE of all things. And now somebody's on the cap. Scorpion and the Barask are trying to take a push down towards the cap and figure that out. Looks like the T-54E1 is down there, and he dies to the Scorpion, so it must have been relatively low hit points. Of course, the Barask is an autoloader as well, and now the T-54 is moving in. I get away with being spotted right there. Here he comes, and now I'm worried about him and the Sioux. The Type 59's around as well. He can add his gun to the mix. The mill's on really low hit points, but I see him pushing in. All of a sudden, holy cow, here's all these guys. So there's that dude. We'll put a shot on him. That works out, and we get a pretty bad low roll at 254. That hurt. And then I think the T-54 and all these guys are the 432 behind us. I think they basically figured they had this dicked, right? They got us cornered down here. There's a miss. I'm expecting to die at any moment. Somehow the mill takes that guy down. Down goes the 54 from the Barask, who did a nice job coming back. And all of a sudden, just like that, from what looked like pretty much a loss, is turned into a win right there. And I wanted to show you this just because while the gun is more comfortable, it is quite derpy. A lot of those were snaps, but those are the kinds of shots that Tier 9 mediums kind of have to make, have to be able to be a little better at, and stock, you're going to struggle a bit with this tank. And even when it's fully upgraded, the gun just isn't amazing. Find the T-54, he sees me. Try to go a little further, avoid getting shot if I can. Barask is moving in. There still is a 432 somewhere. I really don't want to let him get situated. He's looking to kill the poor Barask, and now it's like, oh, the slow speed. Please get up and over so we can shoot this guy. Come on, I can take a hit. So we'll just come in here and we'll go peek. There's 323 high roll. That brings him down to a fairly comfortable kill shot. I don't want to just give him, especially if he tracks me. And then the 432's behind me, and that hurt. That hurt very much. There's a bounce, and now I'm just, oh, this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. Is he going to get me? Nope. Looks like he missed. And we kill him. Maybe he was actually taking a shot at the mill. 432, I sort of expected him to kill me. And then I just realized the Barask actually took him out. Holy cow. 1,761 damage, 235. There may have been a blind shot in there as well. And 1 kill. I showed that because it is a lot of times with the stock tank, and this one especially, it's like pulling teeth to win. It's not comfortable, it's not fast enough, the gun isn't quite where it needs to be for Tier 9, but it's doable. And I shot a lot of gold in there as well, so you need to carry some so that you can get through the stock grind. Obviously, if you can free XP, then go for it. But let me show you the top gun at least. I don't know if I was fully upgraded here, but I'll give you a game with the top gun and show you that it's just more comfortable. Alright, here we are with the top config. Got the engine, tracks, which I don't know if I have the engine, to be quite honest. I do have the top turret, and I've got the top gun. So we're here on Ghost Town, spawned into, what is it, the northeast, and we're going to go head over here and fight on this hilly hill over here, the Hilly Ridge Hill thing. So we'll head over here, we'll start looking south. The thing about this configuration is it just is more comfortable. It just feels better. I keep using that word, but it really is. You're able to do a few more things. The accuracy is a little bit better. It hits for 390, so people aren't liking that very much when they get thumped for 390. They think pretty long and hard about whether they're going to come back at you. So we'll just speed this up. I'm kind of alone, so I do have to be careful. We're going to come up to this ridge. a good number of their guys go into the town. I am top tier. I'm going back and forth on this map. I like working around the edge right here. If you can take out their flankers and coming around behind them is very useful. But you can often get stuffed, and if you don't have enough guys, you're just sort of hanging out here. So I'm a little bit torn on whether to go into town or not. Town's difficult because you start taking shots from other directions. That's kind of a pain as well. That shot was just a test shot. I was kind of curious if anybody was in that bush. So just shoot and back out, and not really. It does have decent camo, so this move into this bush is, it's okay. You got a guy using a CVS or has a lot of burn through, a scout or something in that other bush, you can't have trouble. But if you'll notice, there are no scouts involved in this game. There's also no arty, which makes this position even more useful, I guess you would call it. So we can see that guy's trolling around down there. You will get shots on the side on people there. Somebody takes a pot shot. I don't know if they were shooting actually at my buddies or what. But pretty soon, I'm going to look at this and go, you know what, there's a T-54 and me and 2 other guys. It's going to take a little while, but pretty soon I'm going to figure that we have a pretty good opportunity to push them over here. I was hoping to see the E-50 again. There he is. So we'll just go ahead. There we go. Look at that. Really nice. Wasn't even quite fully zoomed. E-50 backs out, not wanting to completely die. We'll keep working up here into this bush. See if we can find somebody like this guy. There we go. Very comfortable. Pretty good pen. 252, no problem. Went right into the upper plate. No artillery, so that makes this spot much nicer. It's the E-50 sort of sitting there. I'm curious why these guys haven't shot at him, but he must not be out from behind. There we go. He's not quite. We'll just shoot into that spot. Nope. So I've seen a Patton. I've seen a T-54. We put a shot into the Patton. I see a big clump of guys in the middle, and I'm thinking, all right, one guy dead. We might be able to push these guys. Stir's moving. Nice, comfortable, fairly easy shot. Took a chance. Up and over. Stir takes a couple big hits. Good to know he's there and not up on their sniper hit. And I make a bit of a mistake. I was spotted, and I just looking to get a little greedy on the Stir and I eat a shot from the T-54. That's a T-54. Has no problem going through my armor. Sorry, T-44. Has no problem going through my armor. So I'm seeing there's a Patton. It's actually the Type 59 Patton, right? Yeah, it's the 59 Patton, which is not very good. Another little test shot. See if somebody's in the bush. Looks like they are not. Come back up. A little courtesy back up. They're not there. And I'm wondering, all right, where are these 2 guys? Where are these 2 guys? City's doing okay. Killed 2 of them, and now I go, you know what, let's go. Come on, guys. Join me. I did get spotted. There he is. So there was somebody there. 54 gets a shot. I miss. That's unfortunate. I know the Stir's not there. And now we've got these 2. I'm thinking, hey, guys, come on. There we go. This guy makes a big mistake. He comes around, puts a shot into me, but he gets blocked by his buddy, and then, holy cow, he's in big trouble. Somehow survives that. He's looking at his friend. Oh, and guess what? There's another guy here. Bloody TVP. And oh, guess what? There's another guy here. So there's many more here than I thought. That's a pretty fair fight. We took one of them down. Pretty good pen. So we'll just shoot this guy in the side. He overextends. Unfortunately, I blocked my bud's shot as I try to get back. 59 Patton does not have a great turret. So it's okay, but he is going to have a little trouble. TVP, VTU will snap on him. No problem. 390, that hurts. Our little tier 8 heavy medium thing is trying to get in. Just sneak one right into the 59 Patton. No problem. Really had you pushed around, that would have been a good idea. We took another chunk off the 59 Patton. And this is a tank. Because of the derpiness, you're going to want to try to get a little bit close to your work, but you want to trade like that, where they don't hit you. The best idea is to not let them hit you, because they're not going to have a lot of trouble penning. I am bullying some tier 8s. We killed the tier 9, that's a good thing. And I'm just thinking, you know what, if we just go around the corner here, we can just take down this VTU. How about we do that? So I'll just auto-aim him. He actually takes a shot. We'll shoot him as we go. Probably should have used that dead tank as a cover, but he dies. We'll back down. Like I said earlier, I'm glad the Sturb was not sitting up on that top sniper hill back there, because if he was, it would have sucked. T-26. But of course, that's also a reason why we're able to sneak around there and take those shots. He's just not there. So now we got these guys. Sneak one in, that was the ground, so it did not hit him. Now, there we go. Now we got some... And this is what I'm talking about, why this spot is so nice, because you can kind of come in around behind them if they're stuck in the town and busy being shot from multiple directions. That's always a good thing. I might have had a shot on that guy. I didn't really look at it. Oh, I missed that. Definitely had a shot on the other guy that lit up. See, the T-54 is moving across, or T-44. Look at that. Much nicer. Put a shot into there. We'll move into behind the 257. Let that zoom all the way and see if we can get another little bit. We'll get a crit, no damage. That's a bummer. Lots of hit points, though, on him left. Oh, somebody takes a chunk of them. Let's see if we can get... Ah, it's the front. Never easy to pin, but we'll just shoot down below him. Down he goes, and we just have this dude. Can we sneak one in there? No. Not quite. 4,597. I don't know if I get any hit points off this T-54. Let's find out, maybe. I think I do, actually. Come on up here and see if we can sneak one. I know we're going to hit. Keep calling him a T-54, the T-44. Now I'll just come up and over. I know he's going to hit me again. I'm not worried about it. That's fine. Let him do it. And then I don't quite reload time. So 4,972, 564 assists, and 2 kills. So I think that's a pretty good example from the first one on the gun's just more comfortable, hits harder, gives you a few more options in the trade war. You do want to avoid being hit. You can tell that I did bounce one thing. Everything else that hit me went through. And that's what you're going to find with this tank. So I like the line, the idea of the line. The Tier 10 has the X where you go fast. The 8 and 9 don't have the turbo boost. I really don't know why. They don't have a whole lot of personality. And it was interesting for the Tier 6 to have a 240 Alpha at Tier 6. It was interesting for the Tier 7 to have a 300 Alpha at Tier 7, but then the 8 just stayed at 300 Alpha, and the 9 got a 390 Alpha, which most of the 9s have, or a lot of them. So it's just, there's no personality to the tank. It's kind of, it's okay. I would call it slightly below average for a Tier 9, but there's no hook to the tank. And that's, I guess that's okay, that not every tank has to be perfectly unique, but the line sort of had this idea of the end game being turbo boost. So might have been interesting to give a little bit of some kind of turbo boost to the 8 and 9, but I don't know. Maybe balance-wise, that's not a great idea. So that is it for my review of the CS-59. Slightly below average. I liked it okay. I'll play it to 100 battles, see where we get. Definitely want that thing fully upgraded. That goes without saying. I mean, all tanks you do, but really this one was quite painful as a stock tank. The gun was usable, but it was still painful because the whole package was just kind of bad. And really, I think, and it's what I said about the 7, or the 8 especially, and I think it applies to the 9, but not as much. It just doesn't medium tank well. It does nothing that the medium tanks do very well. And that's kind of a bummer. It is kind of a bummer. We'll see if the Tier 10 with the boost becomes some kind of meta or the tank, or there's some, good players will learn how to leverage that speed. We'll find out if it's effective for your average player as well. So there you go. Review of the CS-59, the Tier 9 Polish medium tank.